G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go with another video here, obviously, because you're watching it and it's new and it was uploaded just now, I guess. It's the next round of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup for 2021, so the evolution of the Toyota GR Super Cup that has been running the previous 2 years. The previous round was about a month ago, and that was a combination with the Toyota Supra around Laguna Seca. This is round 2, and we're using the Toyota GR Yaris, and we're at Fuji. It's actually the exact same race as the previous Nations Cup combination on this. Same multipliers, same number of laps, same everything. But we go out for the qualifying session now, and obviously slipstream is going to be important, especially in these road cars. The lap times are very long, and these cars are very close. Because they're all the same car, they have the same acceleration, they have the same strength, same weaknesses, so picking up a slipstream can really set you apart from people that don't. If you can pick it up for the whole lap, you can improve by a matter of several tenths. We managed to find ourselves a very good slipstream behind Metal Gear, who is behind Hyperdrift, who is behind Rid1 F1. And we're going to be heading down the main straight here at Fuji, the 1.475 kilometre long main straight here at Fuji, almost 75% of the length of the Tokyo Expressway East Loop straight. We're going to head into turn 1 as Hyperdrift has broken too late and bins off his lap rather in a very sportsmanlike fashion. Rather than running into the back of Rid1, he completely goes, you know what, no, I'm not making this, I'm going to bin that off and go back to the pits, which is lovely. You managed to still pick up a slipstream behind Metal Gear, who has lost that ultimate strength slipstream from behind Hyperdrift and is now not running as quickly as he would be, as he's further back from Rid1, so his slipstream is going to be a bit weaker. So that means we could potentially be catching Metal Gear, but as long as we can just bump him, as long as we reach him in the appropriate portions of the track, i.e. not in the corners and not coming into the braking zone, we should be able to still make gains. If we push Metal Gear up the road, we'll be able to make that gap back up with the slipstream. So now we've got this final sector, which is the very, very slow, twisty final sector. Basically a whole load of corners. There's no power really involved, except for, I guess, here. We'll do it running up through turn 12 and then into the braking zone for turn 13. Rid1 and Mixie have gotten on top of each other a little bit, and Rid1 has to make his way past Mixie there, so that's going to compromise Rid1's lap and compromise Mixie's lap a lot, and Rid1 runs very wide. I would not be surprised if that is a penalty for him, and that would be very unfortunate considering we do not have enough time to go back to the pits and do another outlap. But I think there may have been a bit of contact with Mixie as Rid1 avoids that penalty there, and as Codes goes across the line with a 149.7, we'll see how we stack up against that current fastest lap. As we're all running up towards the line, I'm reaching the back of Metal Gear, and I don't want to give him a bump now because that'll only improve his time. I pull out 150.3. Not a bad lap actually, 6 cents off, so I did expect to drop down the grid a little bit, but we'll see where that lap puts me. I was in a bit of an awkward position, so I wasn't able to continue on with that run and improve. But, like I said, same combination as before, so we've got the endless fuel burning, the polar bears are screaming in agony, and we're all lined up on the grid, trying to burn as much fuel as possible. So a lovely grid start for these cars, which I think is the appropriate choice. Once again, there's no real reason a rolling start would have been beneficial here. I definitely think standing starts should be pretty standard across the board in these competition ones, because the rolling starts are crap. We're going to start in 5th, so we only dropped one position there. I think it was Atom as well who overtook us, or was he already ahead? It may have been Noodles. Not quite sure, but we managed to get off the line lovely in behind Atom. We're going to try and work together with Atom. I know him quite well, so let's not have any contact here, except there is, and I get bumped from behind and I shove Adam off the track. Obviously it was an accident. I don't know, maybe I'm a rammer, and I get 2 seconds of penalties. That was frustrating. Metal Gear was the one that broke late. He only got 1 second. How is it the person that breaks late and causes the concertina gets less of a penalty than literally an innocent party? Oh man, I thought the days of these dumb penalties were absolutely over with, because now I've got a 2-second penalty, and I'm not sure if you've seen earlier, but the penalty gates at Fuji are at the start of the 1.475 kilometre long straight. 2 seconds worth of braking as well. This car is going to be not going that fast down that straight. And because it's also on the first lap, all the cars are bunched together, which means I lose even more positions than I were if I was to serve the penalty on, say, lap 10, when all the gaps are stretched out. So not good, and you can see I'm actually in a quite okay position. I'm trailing in fourth in the slipstream of the pair up ahead, and I've broken the slipstream to the cars behind. So this was actually going to be looking to be a very solid result, which would have been great. I would have absolutely taken that. But unfortunately, yeah, no, I'm going to serve this stupid penalty instead. So yeah, cheers Metal Gear for that. Just, I don't know. The cars have 3 brake lights on each car. You can easily see when the car ahead begins to brake, and because it's turn 1, we're all going soft, so basically you can react to the brake lights of the car in front of you and be okay. But we'll see how this penalty serving goes. 2 seconds worth of braking, and you can see we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4. There's Atom, he goes by. Sorry for the bump off the track. What's that? 5 cars now, is it? And we're going to lose even more. I get back in to try and grab some slipstream, so what's that? 6, 7, 8... Actually, it's almost going to be 8 positions. 8 positions there. And I think, actually, looking back on this, as you can see, SR Brian is on the inside for turn 1. Looking back on that, I think I may have sort of gypped myself a position by taking to the racing line. It gave Brian the inside line. He was able to get past. I may have been able to keep that position if I remained sort of off the racing line and allowed Brian to take the outside for turn 1. But let's not dwell too much on that. I'm down in 11th. Oh man, what a shocking race. I've had a really tough run in all of these competition races recently. In fact, what's this? Previous 4 videos, I'm going to get it up now as we dive down the inside of Corey Hack there. It is important to bear in mind a lot of these cars may be on the harder tyre, being further down the grid. I started in 5th, so I started on the softer tyre, which is the racing mediums in this case. So I'm going to have to try and make moves as they come up. But as I was saying, I've had a very tough run in FIA recently. In fact, I'm looking now, my previous 4 videos are all negative titles. I'm very annoyed, not again. This got toxic, I quit a race. I'm really needing a good solid result here to try and sort of help my motivation a little bit, because I'm just struggling at the moment. It's just things aren't going my way, and sometimes it's the combinations, and sometimes it's the cars, and then other times it's the other players. That's the one that frustrates me the most. Actually, disconnects would be the most frustrating part, because that's not my fault. But yeah, look, tough run, but we get ahead of the pack behind, and we get ahead of Hyperdrift, who has served himself a penalty there. Not quite sure what he got it for, I was not paying attention, but he drops back. And you can see he served his penalty, and he's probably going to lose maybe 4 positions on lap... Oh, well, that was lap 2, wasn't it? I lost 8 by serving it at the end of lap 1, so really, really difficult. You can see I'm now 7 seconds off the leader instead of... What was it? Was it 3 seconds off the leader in lap 1? And I was in the slipstream, so yeah, this is a really tough race. But we skip ahead to the end of lap 4, where Corey remained behind, but he is now close enough to go for a move at turn 1. However, I give him the flash of the hazards. That is the universal signal for bump drafting. Basically, you can flash your hazards to say thank you, and I like to extend that to flashing the hazards to activate the thought of bump drafting in my competitor's mind behind, and who can respond by actually bump drafting me in response to my hazards. So that's what I've done there, and Corey has bumped me, and I give him another flash of the hazards after the bump to say thank you. So I think at the moment I've now got myself a nice little sort of sidekick is the word I'm looking for. I almost had to make a blooper there. But yeah, no, sidekick. I've got someone to work together with now to try and catch Mixie, who is only 1.7 seconds off the road. And we're going to look at this rendition of the final sector now, as we get a very clean chicane that time. That was beautiful. And we're just going to look at the gap between myself and Mixie and see if we can get into the slipstream as we head out onto the straight. Because this is why I wanted to work together with Corey, because I knew I knew we could catch Mixie as long as we weren't fighting. So basically it's eyes forward, and Iron Mask is only just up the road as well. And we're going to see how close we are heading out onto the main straight here. We got a lot closer, 1 second behind. We were 1.8 coming into the final sector, so we gained 8 tenths going through there. And by the end of the straight, Mixie runs a little bit wide off turn 1. I do the same, maybe half a car width further to the left than I would like. We'll get through there okay. and we're coming into the handling section of the course now. So slipstream doesn't play as big of a role coming through this sector, as we get a lovely Coca-Cola corner there. That's turn 3, and coming through 100R, turns 4 and 5 for some reason. It can't just be one turn, and we get through 100R, and we're just teetering on the edge of the 3/4 of a second of slipstream, and I think we've actually done it as Mixie runs a bit deep and wide into the hairpin of turn 6, and coming out onto 300R, which is a lovely straight flat out section. We're just over or just under 7/10, so we're in the slipstream of Mixie at this point. So coming up through the final sector, as long as we can remain behind, we should be able to get a nice good slipstream down the main straight and potentially gain a position. Mixie runs wide out of Panasonic and then feints over to the centre of the circuit and then jolts over to the right a little bit more. This is telling me he's going to go into the pits, which I think he does. He's following that line in and he slows up for the pit entry. So Mixie goes in. I stay out an extra lap, so if you have not watched the previous videos on this combination from the Nations Cup season a little while ago, if you haven't watched that, you won't know the strategy, which is a one-stop, medium and hard tyre required. So if you're starting in the top half, start on your mediums. If you're starting in the bottom half, start on the hards. The medium tyres can last anywhere between 6 and 8 laps, and so as long as you do 6 or 8 laps, 6 to 8, depending on your race, on the mediums, and the rest on the hards, that's great. No fuel to worry about either. But we go through our in-lap, just working together with Corey to try and lose as minimal amount of time as possible. Come into the pits, and lovely. We get serviced by the GR Yaris pit crew there. Lovely. We exit the pits there, and we're going to see how we come out. It's going to be difficult to tell, but there's Mixie. So remember, he went in side by side with me into the pits, and coming into turn 1, he actually completely misses his braking point. So if anything, I think we gained on Mixie slightly, because he was side by side with me, but he broke too late. So I think if he broke on time, he definitely probably would have fallen in behind myself and Corey, and he went into the pits side by side with us. So we're in 10th currently, and we've got our hard tyre stint to go. The next tour of the straight, we gain a few more positions from people sitting in the pits. We're up into 7th currently, and we'll see how we go now. There's nobody coming out of the bottom of the pit, so I think we're going to stay here. Corey's looking to the inside there, so that's beginning to tell me he's kind of done with working together and he wants to get ahead, and that, I guess, is fair enough. But we'll head through here. Corey runs very wide there, out onto the AstroTurf. It's going to get him a poor run, but he manages to stay behind. This is where the race takes a turn. Iron Mask is 2.8 seconds ahead, so there's still potential to gain, but I sort of, without really thinking about the status of the race, I weave on the straight to try and break the toe, and then as soon as that happened, I realised, no, wait, that's going to make Corey think I don't want to work together anymore, and that is indeed what happened, because he decides to go for the move here instead of bump drafting, and I realised, no, I wanted to work together still, so that was kind of my bad. I kind of communicated to Corey that I'm done with working together when I wasn't. I kind of just thought, no, I don't want him to catch me, let's try and break the slip, but it kind of backfired, and now I've got Corey ahead, and I know I can just as easily get this 7th position, and as things were going, we could have potentially even got 6th if Iron Mask made a couple of mistakes, but now we're fighting for 7th, and yeah, that was kind of my bad. I didn't really think in that particular instance, and that was just a poor bit of racecraft there. So now we're battling for 7th, and I guess my race was already ruined by the penalty, so it's, you know, I guess it's not too much stress, and it's only a minor top 10 position, so there's not really too much riding on it, but we'll just see how Corey goes ahead. I qualified ahead of Corey by a lot, so I definitely think I'm faster than him, and I definitely think if he did not have my slipstream for all of this race, I don't think he would have been able to stay with me, but we'll see how we go. Now I've got to put my attacking tactics to the test. So there is some good techniques you want for trying to attack and gain a position. You basically want to throw the person ahead off, put them out of position, put them where you want to be, but then by extension they can employ defensive tactics by running narrow into the corner, or, you know, trying to put the person behind off. So it's definitely a very interesting prospect here. A good way to try and split sort of a battle like this, split a difference between two drivers, is try and take some different lines. That 3rd sector is lovely for trying to experiment with lines, because all the corners flow on, so if you can take a slightly different line, by the end of the sector you may have made a slight gain, or you may have set yourself up to make a good gain down the straight. We'll see how that goes. As long as you can remain in the slipstream of Corey and we're close enough on the exit of the final corner, I think that's going to be the best place to make a move. The braking zone down into turn 10 is also an alright place as well, although the turn 11, or the chicane of turn 11, comes up just fast enough that if someone can hang it around the outside, they've then got the inside. So turn 1 is probably the better place because you've got a right-hander, and then turn 2 can just help finish off the move and just avoid a side-by-side running into Coca-Cola corner. But that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to try and remain behind Corey here and try and put him off a little bit. And we're going to, I think, we try to look down the inside here just to put him off. And he actually runs a little bit wide, but I just released the brake too early and run a bit wide myself. But you can see we made a gain through there. So that's what I'm talking about. Try and position your car so they think, oh, is he going for the move? And then all of a sudden you're not. And then all of a sudden they're not thinking about their inputs, and then they can make a mistake like running wide. That's the idea. He runs defensive into the chicane, so that's fine, but we can look for a cutback if he runs slightly deep, but he gets it stopped. Lovely. So we're going to go try and get a straighter, faster exit by cutting turn 11 as much as possible up through turn 12. We're actually making some gains there. We're gaining quite a lot just by getting that better better sort of earlier turn in for the turn 11 there. Maybe it compromises your turn 10, but I'm trying to get up side by side through here, so we're going to try and get onto the power as early as possible. Corey Hack doesn't run defensive there, so I could have potentially gone up the inside, but I don't know if I was close enough, and I think it would have resulted in contact. He runs wide off the exit of turn 16, but unfortunately that just puts him a little bit too close to me for the straight, so I'm not able to get a slingshot, and he's actually defending this quite well as he runs over and just closes off that gap on the right hand side. I'm definitely not afraid of going down the pit wall on the inside, but we'll see how this goes. I've now got the outside for turn 1, so my best bet is to try and keep him narrow, although he's trying to push me over to the outside. I return to the outside for the braking, and he just follows me across to try and get himself the best line possible for turn 1. I just get the switchback on the exit of turn 1, gives me the inside for turn 2, but now the outside for turn 3, so this is what I'm talking about. It's very difficult to hang it around the outside here, and we'll see how he goes. We run into here, he just sort of bounces on the curb and shoves me a little bit wide. Just an accident, not to worry. Very risky to run side by side through there anyway, so I don't know what much else I could have expected. And then coming through 100R, he's a little bit slow off the exit there, but he just runs central. Very difficult for me to get the move up. Runs deep into turn 6, so it could give me the run out onto the exit here, but he's managed to get his momentum up from around the outside, running down the length of the curb through turn 7, and then he's all over the place heading down this straight here. It's very difficult to pick what he's going to do, but he's going to go defensive, so I return to the outside at last second just to compromise his line as much as I can, and he does indeed run deep there, so I could potentially get a switch back here, up through turn 11, punch it up turn 12, but I've unfortunately got myself the wrong side for turn 13, which is an off-camber right-hander, so hanging around the outside is very difficult to do, and he manages to sweep in ahead, and I run into the back of him, just cementing his position. He runs narrow in through turn 14 and 15. Could I get another cutback or a good exit here to try and get up the inside at the final corner? But he can see that move coming from a mile away, so switch to the outside while he's on the inside to try and limit what he can do there, and he actually does get a poor exit. So if I can get myself a good slipstream down this straight, I could potentially just nab this position last second, but he weaves and I can't respond in time because I don't know what he's going to do. And I think that has cemented him 7th, although I've got to run at him coming up to the line. It's going to be 8th. Oh man, what a battle that was. How good was that? But very good, actually very good racing from myself and Corey there. That was awesome. Had an absolute blast doing that. Shout out to Atom. After getting punted off at turn 1, he finished only 6/10 off the lead. That's awesome. Podium result for Adam. That's a very, very solid result for him there. Absolutely fantastic to see him up there. Very possible a race win could have been on. But as for us, it's an 8th. So after losing the position to Corey, I wasn't quite able to get it back. And we come home with 203 points. Just over 200, so I guess I can't be too sad about that. But just because we did get a bit of a dodgy penalty there, I wanted to go again. I knew I could get better, but look at this. Now I'm showing you this part again, which means you probably already know what's going to happen. But just as we start the matching process for the second and final slot, oh man, this really is the real disconnect simulator, isn't it? This is an absolute bloody joke. So yeah, disconnected from the network. So I don't know if you've seen the race from Nations Cup last week with the Mini Cooper around Kyoto. I disconnected from 2 of the 3 slots. Or I say disconnect, it's a failure to enter because the servers are crap at the moment for some reason. And it's actually a very widespread issue because a load of players fail to enter all the time. So I know it's not our internet, it's the servers. But yeah, it's just disappointing because I wanted to go again and improve my result. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a competition and we're trying to do the best we can. But if we can't even get into over half the races, it's been over a 2-day period this was, it's, you know, the hands are tied behind our backs. There's nothing we can do. And it's very frustrating because then you look at the leaderboard and you go, oh look, Smokescreen's only 15th, so I know he could be in top 10. I'm like, yeah, I know I could be in top 10 as well, but the game just can't do it for me. But that's it. So a little bit of a negative finish again. I don't know, really on a negative streak at the moment. I've got to somehow try and get out of it, but at least we had some good battles in there with Corey. It was about as clean and as good as a battle could get, so thanks to Corey for that. But that's going to round up this one today. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Do leave a comment as well. Questions, comments, constructive criticism as always, very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.